You're watching NASA TV.
Good morning. It's June 13th, 2024, and you're looking at a live view of two NASA astronauts inside the Quest airlock preparing for today's planned 6.5-hour spacewalk. I'm NASA's Leah Cheshire, and we're live in the International Space Station Flight Control Room here at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, where teams are preparing for US EVA 90, or Spacewalk 90, which is the second spacewalk of the year. Today, NASA astronauts Tracy C. Dyson, who is on the right side of your screen, and Matt Dominick on the left side of your screen will exit the station's Quest airlock to complete the removal of a faulty electronics box, it's called a radio frequency group, from a communications antenna on the starboard truss of the International Space Station. This will be the third attempt at removing that faulty electronics box.
Good reach.
Additionally, today the pair will collect samples for analysis to understand the ability of microorganisms to survive and reproduce on the exterior of the orbiting laboratory. Now, what you see right now in this overhead shot of the two crew members is what is called the pre-breathe portion of the spacewalk. Astronauts spend a lot of time pre-breathing to purge nitrogen from their bloodstream and maintain a 100% oxygen environment during a spacewalk. This consists of two phases. So the first of these has already taken place, in which the crew breathes 100% oxygen through a mask to begin.
Houston for Mike.
Go ahead on one for Mike.
Hey, Jeanette, we're ready for step 8.
Okay, copy. Stand by, I'll put that in work.
So yes, what you're seeing now is the second phase of the pre-breathe process. This is when the crew is in their spacesuits and conducting in-suit light exercise. You'll also hear that referred to as aisle. They move their arms and legs ever so slightly, raising their metabolic rate, which speeds up getting rid of the excess nitrogen. A great shot of NASA astronaut Tracy C. Dyson, who arrived to the International Space Station in September 2023. Today, she will be conducting her fourth spacewalk. She is EV1, or Extravehicular Crew Member 1, and once we are outside the hatch, you'll be able to tell who is who by those red marks around her legs and arms. You can see those right now. That designates her as the lead spacewalker today. She's joined by
3, 2, 1, into exercise.
Tracy is joined by NASA astronaut Matt Dominick. Today is his first spacewalk. Dominick arrived earlier this year as part of the Crew 8 crew.
Airlock on one. Can you tell the crew and me how many reps they've done already?
Yes, we've completed 4 out of 10.
Okay, copy. Thank you for the info.
And that's the voice of NASA astronaut Jeanette Epps in the center of your screen. She is assisting the crew members as they get completed in suit-up processes today. Additional spacewalk support is also from Mike
3,
Barrett.
2, 1, start exercise. Cycle 5.
And the voice on the ground is Alex Kanalakos. That's the Capcom, or the capsule communicator. He is the only one in the room here in Mission Control Houston that speaks with the astronauts to ensure we are relaying all procedures. As we get closer to the start of the spacewalk, again, we are targeting 8 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. Central Time. Alex will hand over those duties to NASA astronaut Steve Bowen. He will be the ground IV, meaning he will be speaking with the astronauts during the spacewalk. Of course, there are still going to be 7 people living and working inside the space station while Matt and Tracy are outside. So we still keep a Capcom here in Mission Control Houston to speak and work with the astronauts inside the space station. In this picture, you can see a couple of interesting features of the EMU, or the Extravehicular Mobility Unit, which is the spacesuit. So if you look on Matt Dominick's left arm there in the front of the frame, you can see the procedures. It's sort of like a playbook. And that can be used, he can reference that during the spacewalk. It gives further details on what they've already been studying and preparing for this spacewalk. Of course, he will also have those commands and instructions relayed up to him from the ground IV. And if you look closer to his wrists, you can see a couple of mirrors. The primary reason the crew wears these mirrors is to be able to see the switches and labeling on the front of their suit, which is out of their view. They can't just look down and see it. That includes the volume, their cooling settings, and the labeling on the front of their suit is written in a mirror image because it's intended to be read via that mirror. Again, this spacewalk today is taking place from the Quest airlock. There are 2 sections of the Quest airlock, the equipment lock and the crew lock. Where you see the crew right now, they are actually in the equipment lock portion. Now, once they complete this pre-breathe exercise and continue putting on one more piece of their spacesuit, which is the Simplified Aid for EVA Rescue, or the SAFER, they will then move to the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock. That's the outermost part. And this is where we'll do final communication and suit systems checks with the ground. And then we will change our suits to internal battery power. And that is what begins the timer of the spacewalk.
Three, two, one, end exercise. Three, two, one, start exercise. Airlock Houston for Mike.
And now in frame, we have NASA astronaut Mike Barrett, who is also on spacewalk support this morning. He'll stay inside the space station, but has been helping the crew get suited up and will continue to monitor their journey today. To learn a little bit more about the tasks that we will see Tracy and Matt conduct once they're outside of the International Space Station, let's take a look at this animation.
We'll go back to the airlock as EV2 retrieves the tool bag. EV1 puts the microorganism handle and caddy on their mini workstation. Then EV1 translates under the U.S. laboratory to the vacuum exhaust systems vent. The first log to swab samples at various locations around the airlock hatch. While EV1 performs the microorganism sampling, EV2 will go to the zenith or top side of the external stowage platform. EV2 will remove the multi-layer insulation covering a spare robotic arm joint. EV2 will release 3 of 6 fasteners using the pistol grip tool. Then EV2 will drive the joint's motor approximately 6 degrees.
That's an in-depth look at today's spacewalk. We will see the course of that 5-minute video play out over approximately 6.5 hours, which is the targeted time and length of duration of the spacewalk. Now back here inside the Quest airlock, you can see Matt Dominick and Tracy Dyson suited up. We also have 3 unsuited astronauts joining them. We've previously seen Mike Barrett and Jeanette Epps, and in the red shirt, that is Sunita Williams, astronaut Sunny Williams. She arrived last week on Boeing's Starliner spacecraft as part of NASA's Boeing Crew Flight Test, the first flight of the Starliner spacecraft with astronauts to the International Space Station.
Three, 2, 1, into exercise.
Again, our two spacewalkers today, NASA astronaut Tracy Dyson. You can...
3, 2, 1, start exercise.
She is EV1 or Spacewalker 1, and you will see her with red stripes around the arms and legs of her spacesuit, helping us to distinguish her from Matt Dominick. It is his first spacewalk. Previously, Tracy has conducted 3 other spacewalks and in total has 22 hours and 49 minutes spacewalking. Once we get outside the hatch, we will also see their helmet cameras turn on. You'll be able to identify between the two because Tracy's helmet camera number is 20 and Matt's is number 16. Again, the astronauts continue to conduct the aisle or in-suit light exercise protocol. This is a slow way to exercise and purge nitrogen from their blood.
And Houston from the airlock for TCV settings. EV1 is now at 7.
Copy 7.
Looks like Matt Dominick is already practicing taking some pictures. Ground teams will often ask crew members to take photos of their work sites, whether that leads to some help with troubleshooting or just documenting the state in which they completed the work today. We currently have 9 people living and working aboard the International Space Station. The Expedition 71 crew consists of Roscosmos cosmonaut Oleg Kononenko, the current commander, as well as Nikolai Chub and Alexander Gribyankin, all from Roscosmos. They are joined by NASA astronauts Tracy Dyson, Mike Barrett, Matthew Dominick, and Jeanette Epps. We also have 2 additional crew members visiting the orbiting laboratory on NASA's Boeing crew flight test. That's NASA astronauts Sonny Williams and
Butch Wilmore.
Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore. I think that
3, 2, 1, into exercise. 3, 2, 1, start exercise. Cycle 9.
This view coming to you from the International Space Station Flight Control Room in Houston, Texas. This room is staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Right now, the Orbit 2 shift is coming on console. These will be the flight controllers for the duration of today's spacewalk. There toward the bottom of your screen is NASA Flight Director Rebecca Wingfield. She'll be leading the teams in the room today. In the red shirt is Alex Kanalakos. He's the CAPCOM, or the capsule communicator. He has been speaking with the astronauts as they prepare for the spacewalk, but he will turn over his communications with the astronauts to ground IV Steve Bowen once they get closer to exiting the airlock.
Three, two, one, end exercise. 3, 2, 1, start exercise, last cycle.
The crew is now in their last round of aisle in suit light exercise, helping purge the nitrogen from their bodies. We are about 30 minutes behind the timeline today, so we expect the crew members to...
Houston, station on 1 from the airlock.
With you on 1, Mike.
Yeah, I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball, and we would like to ask for a PMC between the dock and EV2, if we could privatize that comm.
Okay, we'll make it happen. Stand by on the comm config.
Standing by.
That call from Mike Barrett to the Capcom here on the ground discussing a PMC. That's a private medical conference. Astronauts have the ability to speak to flight doctors multiple times a week, and of course they are on call during strenuous activities like spacewalks. And that call meaning the crew has completed the pre-breathe portion, the in-suit light exercise portion of that, where they are moving their arms and legs ever so slightly. It's not true exercise, but it does help to speed up getting rid of that excess nitrogen in their bodies. During the duration of the spacewalk, they will be breathing 100% oxygen. As we were saying, we are about 30 minutes behind the timeline today, so we anticipate the astronauts will egress or exit the International Space Station around 7:30 a.m. Central Time. We are in a brief satellite handover of the TDRS, or Tracking Data and Relay Satellite Systems. These are the satellites that the International Space Station uses to relay communications to and from Earth. These handover periods are tracked, and we anticipate we will see some today that will be short. We have the opportunity to borrow different satellites and satellite usage from other partners. This allows us to maintain near constant communication with the crew while they are outside of the hatch. We are still in our satellite handover with the space station, and again, our space station clock begins counting when we switch the suits over to battery power. The first approximately 30 minutes of the spacewalk are getting outside of the hatch, ensuring all of the tethers are properly attached and allowing the spacewalkers to conduct what is called a buddy check, making sure that everything is connected as it should be before they embark on today's tasks. Again, today our spacewalkers are NASA astronaut Tracy Caldwell-Dyson. She is on her 4th spacewalk, having previously conducted 3 spacewalks that total 22 hours and 49 minutes. She will be wearing red stripes around the arms and legs of her spacesuit. Meanwhile, NASA astronaut Matt Dominick is on his 1st spacewalk. He will be wearing an unmarked suit. They will complete the removal of a faulty electronics box. This is called an RFG, or a radio frequency group. This is attached to a communications antenna on the starboard truss of the space station and has previously been A little difficult to remove as it was not intended to necessarily be removed during a spacewalk. So teams here on the ground have taken what we've learned from the previous 2 spacewalks and developed some new tools that can be used today to bring that RFG, that radio frequency group, back into the International Space Station. It'll eventually be flown back to Earth where it will be refurbished and flown back up to the International Space Station. Also quite an exciting task today, as the pair will be collecting samples of what we anticipate could be microorganisms on the outside of the International Space Station. We want to see what is able to survive and reproduce on the exterior of the orbiting laboratory. This helps us as we plan for future deep space exploration goals and want to ensure that we are not introducing any sort of microorganisms into a different environment. Again, thanks for joining us live. We are covering US EVA, or Extravehicular Activity 90. This is the second spacewalk of the year. The first was a Roscosmos spacewalk earlier in 2024. We are in a satellite handover and expect to regain communications with the International Space Station shortly. Our 2 spacewalkers, Tracy Dyson and Matt Dominick, are inside the Quest airlock, already suited up, helmets on, and preparing to move forward with the next steps to start today's spacewalk. Again, we are a little behind on the timeline, so anticipating them to switch their suits to battery power and exit the hatch at approximately 7:30 a.m. Central Time. Again, good morning. We are live here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. You're watching live coverage of the US EVA 90. That's spacewalk number 90. In total, it's the 271st spacewalk supporting, building, maintaining the International Space Station. Again, we expect the spacewalkers to transition their suits to battery power approximately 7:30 a.m. Central Time. That'll signify the start of today's spacewalk. We are planning for the spacewalk to last approximately 6.5 hours. The space station is currently flying about 264 statute miles over the North Atlantic Ocean, traveling orbital velocity that's about 17,500 miles per hour. You can see the space station with the naked eye when it is flying over your location, and we have a wonderful app to allow you to do that. It's called Spot the Station. You can enter your location. It'll give you a heads up when the International Space Station is flying over, and you simply can't miss it.
Airlock Houston on Space Ground 1.
Airlock on 1, go ahead.
Hey, Jeanette, I see you removing mini workstations. That's fine. We are going to give you a procedure and step number to begin with to configure ourselves to get out of the suit. So give us just a little bit so that we can all stay in sync.
No problem. We're just cleaning up the airlock mini workstations and just put some stuff back on the floor so we have some footrest.
Understand.
Airlock Houston on 1 for suit doffing.
On 1.
Hey, Mike, to begin suit doffing, you could pick up in step 18 of your RFG post-EVA activity. That's linked in Optimus. That's message 70-0155, step 18.
Happy RFG post-EVA step 18, and we'll verify 70-0155.
Good readback.
We're back with live views inside the Quest lock, inside the Quest airlock, and we've just had another satellite handover. So this is the International Space Station Flight Control Room here in Houston, Texas. Today's spacewalk will not be proceeding as planned, and the crew has just begun taking off their suits. That was approximately 6:25 a.m. Central Time. Again, this is about an hour before the crew was anticipated to exit the Quest airlock. We are standing by for more information, and we'll share as we know it. Again, this live view coming to you from the Quest airlock in the International Space Station. Spacewalkers Tracy Dyson and Matt Dominick were preparing for US EVA 90, Spacewalk 90 today. But today's spacewalk will not be proceeding as planned. The crew has begun taking off their suits. As you can see, Matt Dominick there in the foreground. His helmet is now off. They began taking these suits off about an hour before they were anticipated to exit the Quest airlock. We're standing by for more information, and we will share as we learn that. Here's a better view of the two spacewalkers. That's Matt Dominick on the left and Tracy Dyson with her helmet still on the right. In the foreground, in the red, that's Sunita Williams, NASA astronaut who arrived on NASA's Boeing crew flight test last week. Again, if you are tuning in, this is a live look inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room in Houston, Texas. Today we've been preparing for US EVA 90. However, today's spacewalk will not be proceeding as planned. The crew has been taking off their suits. They started doing so about 6:25 a.m. Central Time. We were expecting them to head out the hatch at about 7:30 a.m. Central Time, but we are standing by for more information and we will share as we learn that. We're live in the International Space Station Flight Control Room in Houston. Again, today's spacewalk with Tracy C. Dyson and Matt Dominick, both NASA astronauts, will not be proceeding as scheduled. Both of the crew are now out of their suits. Teams here in Mission Control Houston are evaluating forward plans for the spacewalk and reconfiguring the airlock as well as the International Space Station.
Airlock Houston on 1 for PGT batteries.
Go ahead for PGT batteries.
Hey, Sonny. We think that you and Jeanette are in step 54 for stowing the PGT batteries. We'd like for you to only temp stow those for now. If you haven't stowed them already, they could go into the mesh bag. If they had been stowed, we'll look at getting them back later. Copy, thumbs up.
They're just temp stowed, so we'll get them in the mesh bag.
Copy, thanks. Airlock Houston 1 for helmet config.
Go ahead. Just reading through it right now.
Copy. Looking ahead to step 61, we're going to leave the HAP extender and the bands installed. But in step 60, if you notice any damage, please take the photos and let us know.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll take a look at this. And Houston on 1, the helmets look good. There's nothing that we need to take pictures of. Everything looks pristine.
We copy. That's great news. Thanks.
So I'm not going to do 61, and we are up to 64.
Houston copies, and one additional delta for you, step 68 for the REBA. That is a no perform. Step 68, no perform.
No perform. Copy.
Again, we are live here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room. Center screen is Rebecca Wingfield, today's flight director, joined to her right in the white shirt by Capcom, or capsule communicator, Will Vu. He is the voice you hear speaking with the astronauts as they step through the current procedures. Both Tracy Dyson and Matt Dominick are out of their EMUs, or extravehicular mobility units. Those are the spacesuits they would have worn today on the spacewalk. However, this will not be proceeding as scheduled. We are standing by for more information as the teams continue forward planning for this spacewalk at the next opportunity, and we will share all of that as we know it.
And Houston, we're up to step 72. I think those are your steps.
Copy. We're taking step 72 from the ground.
In Houston, on step 75, we have the oxygen valves closed. Are you doing 76, or should we do that?
Sunny, ground will take step 76.
And also step 77.
Copy. Ground will take 76 and 77. For you, steps 78 through 85 are no, perform for safer.
Okay, moving on to step 76. Sorry, 86.
Copy.
We are live in the International Space Station Flight Control Room in Houston, Texas, where flight controllers were preparing for US EVA 9D. However, the spacewalk today with NASA astronauts Tracy Dyson and Matt Dominick will not be proceeding as scheduled due to a suit discomfort issue. The crew is now out of their suits. That happened about an hour before they were anticipated to exit the Quest airlock. We're standing by for more information and anticipate making those details available as they become known. You can check up on that throughout the day at nasa.gov. For now, this is Mission Control Houston.
Hi, I'm Carol Scott, and I help astronauts get to the International Space Station. And this is Ask NASA.